Welcome, y'all.
Take 2, Michele, because Tammy forgot to press record.
That's okay.
It happens.
We're here with Augie.
We're back.
Yes, y'all missed a nice little conversation we were having for a couple minutes there. We'll try to recreate that for y'all.
Indeed. Well, the whole redo does feel like we're on TV now.
Oh.
And we were supposed to be on TV
last
yesterday.
time. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
We
yeah.
were. That's true.
The Gordon Ramsay kidnapping story. Yes.
In fact, yes. We were almost kidnapped by Gordon Ramsay.
So y'all were invited to go to a filming at a secret location of a TV show that he is in.
Yes. Allegedly, Gordon Ramsay.
Allegedly.
Maybe. We don't know.
I don't know if I signed an NDA, so I don't know how well we should be able to talk about this.
No one from their staff is going to be listening to my podcast, I'm sure.
You don't know that.
I don't know that.
Actually, the staff is kind of pieced out from Louisiana and Mississippi, and they kind of they don't travel. He doesn't have a traveling crew.
He just takes whoever. Mm-hmm. But y'all got to the secret location.
We did.
And you got in a van. And
the food sucked.
He didn't cook it then, huh?
No, he's not supposed to. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
we officially don't know who the chef is
of the TV show.
The TV show.
We're assuming it was Gordon Ramsay since I saw him kicking me out.
That's
he grabbed me by my lapels.
If only we had gotten that far and not just sitting down for 3 hours.
Oh, he did. Yeah, no.
After we got into a random van.
But then so y'all were getting ready to go on the show, and then someone came out and said, he just canceled the show. Everybody go home.
They said, kitchen's closed.
Kitchen's closed. Yeah.
What the shit?
Yeah.
But we do have food for you. So they had like leftovers and little tins outside.
But they did not have the 2 drinks that we were promised.
And we did not get into a van to go back.
No, we walked back.
My God. They didn't even give you a ride home?
No, they would have.
Oh, okay.
They probably would have. But
okay.
They weren't very communicative about anything. In fact, they just like let us out of the van and didn't tell us where to go.
We just
let us in the street.
Street corner.
We got a teeny tiny peek into like Hollywood, like how shows are made, and when you watch these really fun shows of like, hey, where did they get all these people to come in and bar rescue, whatever,
most of those people probably thought they were being kidnapped.
Most of those people probably, they probably sat around for about 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
And pay attention to them next time, because apparently they can't wear stripes and they can't wear white.
Yes.
And they can't have tattoos.
They can't have visible tattoos.
Logos on their shirt.
No logos.
That was
They'll
kind
just
of a
put
challenge.
some duct tape over it. Have you ever seen that on TV shows where they just put the tape?
Yeah, they made us tape our phones.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we had to tape our phones shut. Shit. I'm like, the weather right now has been so beautiful these last couple of days. So I was lucky that I had to wear a long sleeve shirt, but then I had to put gloves on to cover the tattoos. And I'm like, I still look like an idiot.
I tried to cover the tattoo with concealer.
Yeah, didn't work.
No, it was bad.
Oh, well, hopefully y'all will get to be on the show next time.
Well,
I'm set up to go tomorrow.
She's going tomorrow. I'm gonna watch the Saints. I'm gonna, we're gonna have Dirty Bird for lunch tomorrow. I think
it's funny that you say Dirty Bird, because Harold and I ride in the Spanish Town Parade in Baton Rouge, and their mascot, I guess, is a flamingo, and it is a very filthy parade.
I love it.
So tomorrow we are going to be going to paint the flamingos that they put all around Baton Rouge.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah,
When's the parade?
Okay, I guess it's in February or March. Usually it's usually the Saturday before Mardi Gras. Mm-hmm. But they, you should like Google it, because they go around at night and put all these giant wooden flamingos have been painted all around town at businesses and people's houses, and they call, if you get one, you got flocked. So anyway. So I guess the listeners want to hear a story, and y'all are going to tell me a story or two.
We are. Yeah. Hopefully we have time for 2. We're going to do something a little bit different. These are not solved cases.
Okay. But they're old, I understand.
They're old and they're spooky.
Love spooky time.
Old spooky New Orleans legends, I guess.
Yes, you can definitely find these stories on a ghost tour.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess without further ado, we'll kick this thing off. Anything else we need to say? Or?
No, we've said all the things.
Augie's going to take it.
All right, so let me start. Now, it's all handwritten. I was under the gun, so I just have my notepad. Some of this was done at work.
He wrote it on a hard tablet.
I sure did, yeah. Known for a laid-back way of life, the Big Easy sets the stage for an all-around good time. The mysteries of blues and jazz music drift from corner to corner, and the enchanting smells of seafood, spices, fried chicken, and okra almost taunt every city block. Celebrations, carnival, Mardi Gras, Jazz Fest, Bayou Boogaloo, the river boats, the casinos, the strip clubs, the bars, the street performers, the art peddlers, the fortune tellers, the overwhelming sensation that only comes when you have surrendered your inhibitions and become engulfed with the pleasantries at their purest. I feel rum-dum just imagining such culture. I feel blissful. I close my eyes and I can hear it. I can hear jazz. I can taste sweet whiskey. I can smell fried chicken. And a voice, faint at first, then she sounds off with a boom. Throw me something, mister. She smiles, and the glitter that outlines her eyes suddenly washes over me. I shudder. I open my eyes. 19 million tourists from around the world visit New Orleans every year. They come for the party. They also come for the macabre. Even if you've never been to New Orleans, you can desire one of two ideas. The first is a celebration where the music fills the air and the food fills the belly, and you can exchange flesh for beads and money for art. The second is the well-known dark history. The cemeteries and graveyards throughout the city have become tourist destinations, along with the French Quarter's haunted tours. When you think about New Orleans, one of the first things that comes to mind is the architecture. Such wonderful buildings and homes. France owned New Orleans from 1682 until 1762, when the Spanish took over. The houses and shops that line the Mississippi River, known now as the French Quarter, were made mostly of wood. They were simple dwellings built by the French architects of the late 1600s. But in 1794, while the city was owned by Spain, a fire destroyed the quarter and left 212 structures in ruin. The architecture that we think about today in the French Quarter is actually Spanish. I had to throw that in there because I think it's super interesting that we still call it the French Quarter, but all the like the cast iron filigree and everything that we think about, that's actually Spanish.
Spanish. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So let's talk about real estate. And I do have a little bit of a true or false quiz for you, Tammy, after this. So let's currently, right now, the property on 1140 Royal Street, which is in the French Quarter, is currently for sale. Built in 1832 with several renovations throughout the years, this beautiful 8-bedroom, 10-bathroom.
Ooh, how much? I want to buy
over 10,000 square foot Spanish-style mansion can be yours.
For?
At the very low price of only $9 million.
Oh, that's only a little out of our price range. I'm looking at Harold and he's like, yeah, that's out of our price range.
But you can see it on Zillow right now.
Is it nice? Or do I need to do some updates?
So
Both?
Updates have been done.
I know, I heard
but
that.
They're ugly updates. In our opinion.
It's like black and purple walls and like it's gaudy and it's a black kitchen.
What is it about people who could spend $9 million on a house feel like they got to zhuzh it up like that?
It's so ugly.
Well,
it's so bad.
You don't have to zhuzh nothing once you have the $9 million. You can just buy it.
Yeah, I know.
So this is the address is 1140 Royal Street. That is in the quarter. It's in actually a prime location in the French Quarter.
Can you walk to Bourbon?
Oh, yeah.
It's the next street over.
Okay.
Yeah. So
nice.
It's very prime property and it's fucking huge.
Airbnb, that bitch.
Right. Well, that's probably why it's 9 million. So I do have a little quiz here.
Okay, I'm ready. True or false?
True or false? This property was last purchased in 2010 for $7 million.
I'm going to say false.
False. Good call.
All
it was actually last purchased in 2010 for 2.5.
Wow.
So in 14 years.
A bargain. It's tripled.
It's
tripled.
Yeah.
Yeah. True or false? This property was once owned by America's favorite treasure hunter, Nicolas Cage.
This one's true because I know
this is true.
Yeah,
yes.
I know he. I've been on a ghost tour in New Orleans, but I wouldn't remember things like addresses. Like that's just not something that sticks in my head.
This place is so big, I don't think that you'd see an address on there. It's not like there's a fucking mailbox.
If I remember, it was just like, it just looked like a regular building, like with apartments or something.
It's the corner building.
Yes,
yeah. So true or false? This property was originally built by one of New Orleans' deviant legends.
Is it Madame Lalaurie? How do you say her name? Was that true?
That's true.
Okay.
That is true.
I think that's probably why Nicolas Cage was drawn to it. He likes
I think that's why a lot of people are drawn to it. I think that's why it's $9 million right now.
Stop it.
I think.
So here's the thing. When I went on the ghost tour and saw it, because it's Madame, how do you say her name, y'all?
I think it's Madame Lalaurie.
Lalaurie. Because it was her house, of course, they stopped there. And then it was just kind of a side note. Nicolas Cage bought it, blah, blah, blah. But the whole ghost tour, I didn't see anything spooky. I was so disappointed.
Really?
Did you go into the house?
No, that was not part of the tour.
So I think that, and that's the thing about the haunted tours in New Orleans.
You can go in some of the places?
Well, no, I think that that's probably why, and I don't want to ruin these people's business because this is them out there making a living.
No, yeah.
But I think that they're not allowed to go into places.
No.
And so their little hustle is kind of just showing the outside, hey, this is what's going on here. This is what's going on there.
This is what's been said over the years.
Right. And so it's really tough to get an authentic ghost tour.
Yeah, I agree. Anywhere, probably.
Probably anywhere, but unless you actually go to the Myrtles, the Myrtles or the Winchester or something, that's actually
the Cecil Hotel.
Correct. Yeah, the Cecil. Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, I know you didn't AI that because you have it all written down on a tablet, and that was beautiful and lovely.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thanks. A little intro, a little history of New Orleans. New Orleans was owned by, I think, 5 different countries at one point.
Wow. It's definitely a melting pot.
Yeah, New Orleans is a hoe.
Yeah. She Creole.
Yeah, she's been passed around a few times.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. She pretends like she knows French and then...
and then there's all the Spanish.
Then she gets burnt by the Spanish.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Augie, for that beautiful preface into this story. And you may know her as Madame Lalaurie, a fictional character on a popular horror show, but based off of a very real human being.
Yes.
And we're going to go back to the late 1700s. She was born on March 19th, 1787. So like way back.
She a old bitch.
There's no pop culture to be given at this point. Her name was Marie Delphine McCarthy. She was the daughter of Irish immigrants in Old Creole, New Orleans. Her parents were super prominent members of New Orleans at the time. And they were very well off. And she was 4 years old when the Haitian Revolution started in 1791. And people at that time were abusing enslaved people out of fear that they would rebel. So can you imagine how that would shape the very malleable mind of a 4-year-old?
Absolutely. Yes.
Right. So fast forward just a few years, not many years at all, to Delphine's first marriage, because she was 13 years old when she married. Only 13.
It was probably some like arranged since she was born kind of deal.
It sounds like it may have been. There wasn't a whole lot of information on that, but just because she married a very high-ranking Spanish royal officer at the time, and her parents were very high-ranking people, so it sounds like that's kind of what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she married this Spanish royal officer in the St. Louis Cathedral in New Orleans.
Wow.
And that makes me feel a little icky.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very soon after their marriage, her husband was appointed to consul general for Spain in the territory of Orleans and was called to appear at the royal court in Madrid. So Delphine was pregnant with their first child at the time, and they packed up and they started their journey to Spain. But on their way to Spain, her husband died suddenly.
Oh, my gosh.
Sus.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Definitely. Oh, he died, did he?
He died. Well,
no other information. He just died.
I'm doing this because she probably poisoned him.
Yeah, there's no quotes. He actually did die, but naturally died.
Right. Exactly. And a few days after his death, she gave birth to their first daughter. I'm going to spare you her name because it's not important, and there was like 30 names. But her nickname was Borquita.
Well.
Oh, yeah. So
still not important either.
Not very important.
But it was kind of weird.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like they're making fun of her some kind of weird way. Borquita.
I think that's the Spanish side. I don't know.
So
makes sense.
She had 30 names.
In Spanish culture, you do have 30 names. And if they love you, your name is a little bit insulting.
Oh, okay.
Is that how that goes?
Yeah, like little fat boy, that kind of thing.
Well, that's kind of how this sounded. It was like she was a plump little baby.
Yeah,
and
so it's probably kind of like we love you because we just talked shit on
about you.
Yeah.
Sounds like my house.
I think it sounds like a lot of cultures kind of overlap that one.
That's definitely my house. That's how you love, right? You just say mean things.
Yes, that's how it, yep. Mm-hmm.
So, after 4 years to returning to New Orleans with her daughter, she remarried. And once again, she married a very prominent man. He was a banker, a lawyer, and a legislator. So he was busy.
You didn't even have to have no degrees back in the 1700s.
Yeah, you just be whatever.
Yeah.
Just wake up. I'm a lawyer.
Guess what? I'm a barber today.
Exactly.
Bitch, sit down. I'm going to cut your hair.
Yeah. Have a seat. I'm going to fish this bullet out of your brother real quick. I'm a doctor. Give me that whiskey.
Mm-hmm. So he purchased a house for them on Royal Street. And she had 4 children with this man. And most of them were named Marie to some capacity.
Okay.
In one of their 3,000 names.
So she's at 5 children at this point.
Yes.
And
she's about 25. Or
and
something.
I think we did the math. She's 29.
Okay.
5
and it
children.
Sounds like she is in the house at this point that you originally spoke of.
She's actually not.
She's
Oh, okay.
She's close.
Okay.
And I don't know actually what happens to this house that
All
she's
right.
in right now. Because
shit
they
was
just
always
drop it.
look. Shit was always burning down in the olden days. Let's just assume it burned down.
It may have. It may have. And this husband, he died in 1816, so he's gone.
And let's do that one in quotes again.
We're down 2 husbands.
2 husbands.
Wow.
Down.
Mm-hmm. So quite a while passes, and she's 38 years old now. She's a twice widowed woman, married, and she's now marrying for the 3rd time. This man was a physician, and he was 15 years younger than her.
What? She must have had that magic shit.
It seems that way.
Especially because these guys all had money. I mean, she had money, but these guys had money
they had
too.
big money,
so
yeah.
it was just debutantes trading everybody or something, I guess.
Lawyers, doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Indeed.
People owners.
Yes. Oh, I know the story, so I'm just trying to hold back. I don't want to spoil it for the listeners.
So, a few years into their marriage in 1831, she purchases a property at 1832 Royal Street, which is, and she purchases it in her name, and she manages it in her name also.
That's some shit
That's
for
impressive.
a woman to have
impressive.
that. Yeah.
I was super shocked to hear that.
I'm surprised because you couldn't even like go to the bathroom without asking your husband back
and this
then.
is the the early 1800s
Okay.
that she purchased property in her name. And the next thing is also super surprising because, she purchases this house. She purchases the property in her name. Then she builds the house. She builds the 2-story mansion with slave quarters attached. The same year that she built this, she decided her marriage was not working out.
What?
She petitioned the first judicial district court for separation from bed and board of her husband, claiming that he treated her in such a manner as to render their living together unsupportable, and her children supported the claims, and he was gone.
Why not just poison him like the others? I'm just saying that. I know we didn't
I see
know.
where you're getting at.
Yeah. I mean,
It's like,
if you've gotten away with it twice.
yeah.
But they granted her this, which was super surprising for me.
Weird.
Like, she gets a house and she gets to get a divorce.
She was way ahead of her
So
time.
knowing this about this lady,
Madame.
Kathy Bates was
Yes.
the perfect. Perfect.
If y'all haven't watched American Horror Story, there is a whole season on this story, and witches in New Orleans, if I remember correctly, was woven in. And it was, as someone from Louisiana, I sometimes get cringy when they make television shows about Louisiana because it's not very representative.
Oh, I think Ryan Murphy got this one right.
This was really good.
Yeah.
So y'all got to check out the American Horror Story.
Season 3.
Season 3,
Season 3.
Coven.
Yeah. Coven, that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So much crazy shit. Yeah.
And they actually, it seems to have gotten things pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely an exaggeration, and he ran with the rumors. And he ran with the legends and just made them as big as he could.
Marie Laveau is in that one as well.
Correct.
And the Axeman, right?
And I did want to cover both Marie Laveau and the Axeman. I don't have a whole lot of time.
Time got away from us.
No, it's okay.
So we're going to continue with this one. Hopefully we can get into some of the Axeman stuff.
I would love that because I've always wanted to do that story.
Okay. Yeah, so we do have the Axeman also.
Some stuff for the Axeman.
All right.
We might have to wing it, but let's finish this one first.
So to continue with Madame Lalaurie, Miss Delphine, at this point, everything seems to be normal. We know that there are slave quarters built in the back, so Delphine does own enslaved people, and there are rumors floating around town about Delphine and her husband mistreating the enslaved people in their home. But Delphine even had a visit from a lawyer to remind her of the laws of the properly caring for enslaved people. However, he said that he found no evidence of mistreatment during her visit. So I'm like, did you threaten him?
Did he get married? Did she get married again at this point? Because you said her and her husband. Okay. All right. So it's just her.
It's just her.
All right.
But he said that he found no evidence of mistreatment. And there was also a time where Delphine went to file for death certificates of some of the enslaved people in her home, but there was no cause of death mentioned. There were 12 death certificates in total, and 5 of that 12 was an entire family, including 4 children between the ages of 4 and 13.
What the actual fuck?
Mm-hmm. Then there was a woman named Harriet Martineau who recounted tales told to her in her visit to New Orleans in 1836. So from what I gather, this was just for some type of publication, possibly at the time. She was just like listening to stories, and these were the rumors of some of the people. So some of the things that she reported from people who knew Delphine was that the enslaved people in her house were singularly haggard and wretched. That was quotes.
Ooh, that's harsh language for the early 1800s.
Indeed.
Wretched.
Wretched. Singularly wretched. And when this was compared to other enslaved individuals, and they noted that in public, Delphine treated Black people much differently than she did in her home. And Martineau also recounted that an 8-year-old enslaved girl fell to her death from the roof of the mansion and supposedly is buried on the grounds.
Know about that one. Yep.
Yeah, it was said that the girl was brushing Delphine's hair when she hit a snag, and it pissed her off so much that she murdered the child.
Listen, I'm tender-headed, and I would never try to murder somebody just because they caught a knot in my hair.
For real. That's like one of the only things that make me angry as a human, so I get it, but murder's not on the table.
No.
I did get, I tried to pluck one of her leg hairs earlier today.
And he did, and I said I hated him.
And then she used the H word. She rarely uses the L word with me, but she'll use that H word all day long.
That's a lie. I rarely use the H word. I've never told you I hated you before.
I know, that's
today.
why it cut so deep.
So it was serious.
Don't ever do that again.
So this happened. And then there was also this event led to an investigation where she was found guilty of cruelty, and they forced her to forfeit 9 enslaved people. However, they were purchased by her relatives and were very quickly returned to the Delphine household.
Hey-o.
Always a loophole.
Right?
Always a loophole.
Right?
We're talking about human beings here.
Exactly.
We're not talking about a goat or a horse. I mean,
yeah.
It gets worse.
She did some shit.
Yeah.
She did.
And then, so bad that other white people said, you have to give these people up. And she was like, okay, hey, Mom, can you come grab these from me and just hold them for a minute?
Yeah.
Just
like they're picking up expensive vases or something like that.
Just insane.
So the people were returned. And then Martineau also reported that Lalaurie had kept her cook starved and chained to the kitchen stove. So out of all the rumors, we know that this one is true because this is the person who caused everything to fall apart for Delphine and her family.
The woman that was chained to the stove.
The woman who was chained to the stove. So on April 10th, 1834, a fire broke out in the Royal Street mansion from the kitchen. And this fire was started purposefully by the 70-year-old cook, who they found chained to the stove by her ankle. The cook claimed that she was attempting to commit suicide because she was afraid of punishment from Delphine, and she said that slaves who went to the uppermost room never came back.
Wow. We know what that uppermost room was going on in there.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you believe the rumors.
I do.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
And I totally believe the rumors because so when the fire broke loose, a group of bystanders, they quickly went to go help. They attempted to enter the slave quarters in the back, but they were refused the keys by her and her ex-husband. So at some point he must have come back because he was in the house the day of the fire.
Okay. There was a party going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't give them the keys. So the bystanders broke down the door. They found 7 people mutilated, suspended by the neck, with their limbs stretched out and torn from one extremity to the other.
She was so ruthless and tortured those people so bad.
There were other descriptions of things and ways that they had found people, and I couldn't write it down. It was just
too graphic.
It was too graphic. It was awful. But some people believe that these people that they found were there for months. Mm-hmm. And once the word got out how they found these people, and after they had evacuated them, a mob of local citizens torched the place.
Yeah.
It was gone. There was nothing left. And the enslaved people bound in the slave quarters were taken to the local jail.
Oh, my God.
Where they were available for viewing.
Oh, I did not know that part of the story.
Which, fuck them. If they're mutilated, wouldn't you take them to the hospital? Or, like, I don't know what they had at the doctor's house. Like, something.
The vet even feels better than the jail. Yeah. You know, I mean...
Because they're humans. They're human beings.
They need attention. They need medical attention.
You know, and she was probably, if I had to guess, only feeding them enough to keep them alive. If she's, you know what I mean? She didn't want to lose her specimens.
Right.
And they were probably malnourished and dehydrated. And they definitely need medical care.
Well, there were many rumors that the cook in the kitchen was in trouble often because she was trying to feed people in the house, or like feed herself or feed children or something like that. So she was often, and that was why she was scared to go to the uppermost room, because she was just trying to keep people alive.
That's a horrible thing if you choose to burn yourself to death rather than be alive.
Right.
Yeah, that's hard.
That's your only option.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So they found the poor slaves, brought them to jail, put them on display.
Yep. And by April 12th, up to 4,000 people had gone to the jail to convince themselves of the sufferings of the human beings that were found.
Oh, my God.
So they weren't on display.
Was gross.
I don't think they were on display for enjoyment. I think they were on display
as testament.
Disbelief. Yeah. I don't think that people really understood to the fullest that this was really what was going on.
How horrible. Yeah.
And so a lot of people were like, she was a
twisted fuck.
Which is sad that it takes that much.
Or that you have to sacrifice someone's life to be that testament. Like they needed to heal. They didn't need to be in a jail to be looked at like a bunch of people in a zoo. Like that's not cool. But 2 of the people that they found in the fire died after they were rescued because no shit, they weren't taken to the hospital. Yeah. They were taken to a jail.
Yeah.
Delphine's life isn't well documented after the fire. It was said that she fled to Mobile, Alabama, and then ultimately to Paris. How she died is unclear because in 1888, some man named George Washington Cable said that she died in a boar hunting accident, which is random. But in the 1930s...
She was the boar.
Maybe. In the 1930s, a man named Eugene Bax, who was the sexton of St. Louis Cemetery No. 1, discovered an old cracked copper plate that read Madame Lalaurie.
Whoa.
Born Marie Delphine McCarthy, died in Paris December 7th, 1842 at the age of, and it said 6-something. The other thing must have been worn off.
Worn off, yeah.
But it was in French. That's the English version. But according to French archives, she died on December 7th, 1849. So 1842, 49, we don't know.
Well, close enough. So she was in her 60s, it sounds like.
Yeah.
What a cunt.
Right? And as for the original mansion, it was completely destroyed by the mob, as it should have been, because who wants to live in that hellhole? The new mansion built on the property a few years later is a spot for ghost tours to this day. And that is the story of Madame Lalaurie.
And it's been because that was one of my questions. Like, if it burnt to the ground, what?
Yeah, so it
got rebuilt.
They rebuilt it, I think, maybe 4 years later.
So technically,
it's not technically the house that she built,
right? No. But if you believe in this type of thing, the spirits who were tortured and suffered there, buried there, would still be.
I would think so.
Yeah,
I would think they're still.
Spooky time.
They're still there. And I think that's why that property is still worth so much money to somebody.
I've heard and I don't know, because like I said, when I went on the ghost tour, I was on the outer parts of the house. But I've heard in the middle, there's a nice courtyard.
Yeah, there's gotta be.
I would love to see that. That would be amazing.
You can see it on Zillow. It's there right now.
Oh. So it's on Zillow. In fact, let's see if there's an open house. Let's get all dressed up.
Yes.
I'll put a necktie on and maybe no stains on my jeans.
No one is gonna believe
that I have $9 million.
No. The realtor probably says, "Have you been pre-qualified before she lets you go see the house?"
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's got to be some sort of.
Yeah,
because I know, or at least
they have to vet you before you.
I heard a rumor. This is how cool I think Louisiana is, and I don't know if it's a rumor or true, but you have to disclose whether or not the house is haunted before you sell it, which is just amazing to me. Coming from California,
I don't know that that's true, but I'm going to have to look into that. But I know that you have to disclose if someone died.
Well, sure. I think that's across the board.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's across the board. But for some reason, I don't know if it was a New Orleans thing or whatever, but you do have to disclose whether or not the house is haunted before somebody buys it, which is just, even if that's just a rumor, I believe rumors. I think that's wild. I think that's really cool.
That is cool. So you can do a search on Zillow. Just show me the haunted houses. You know.
Yeah. I'll bet
in the filter.
Yeah, I'll bet there really is. So we do.
That would be funny.
There is another haunted place we want to talk about. The haunted hotel of New Orleans. I didn't look up where exactly it is. Did you look?
No, I don't know the address.
Is it still around?
So it's literally called, the name of the business is called the haunted hotel. The haunted hotel of New Orleans.
So this is real estate that you can rent because it is a hotel, but you may not buy, like Madame Lalaurie house. Yeah,
it's not for sale, but it definitely segues into
Madame.
Into our next story.
Into the next story.
Real estate into our next story.
So I do want to do some bullet points. I'm gonna. The Axeman is, when you had mentioned let's do something about the Axeman. The Axeman is a difficult subject
I know.
To tackle.
I have not ever tackled it, but I have always been interested in this story.
So many rumors, and because he's never been identified or caught,
right?
You just have to go with the facts. There is the haunted hotel of New Orleans. There's activity there.
Oh.
They say that was his hideout between killings.
Oh.
But
they say this because they found, doing renovations, an bloody axe in the attic. Or somewhere?
I can't.
In the back house.
It would have been nice if they'd have kept that so they could get some DNA off that.
It's on display.
It's on display.
Wow.
I don't know if you could still pull DNA. There was no DNA records. I don't think you could pull DNA records from people who didn't have DNA records
on record.
On record.
But you know how they're doing the ancestry stuff?
Oh, they could do the lineage.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but we know the victims.
Oh, well, true.
We're not going to be able to pull. He didn't.
True.
I don't think he's got semen on the axe.
He might have touch DNA on the axe.
Yeah. So he might
semen. I bet he did jerk off on it.
This sick fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know. In fact, reading some of the facts and some of the things about him, I don't want to call him a him.
Oh.
I want to call him an it.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to play the pronoun game because, and honestly, it could have been a woman.
He's just a monster.
I think he's a demon.
Okay, so tell me the story.
So I'm not going to tell the story. I'm going to have Michele go over some bullet points about victims. But what I would like to do is some of the facts that we have is a letter that he wrote to the newspaper. I don't know if that's ever been read on this podcast.
It has
or
not,
if you're familiar with it.
I am familiar with it, but please read. Do you have it there? The letter?
I have the letter right here that was written to. It was
the Times-Picayune
at that time. Was it the time? I don't know what it was.
It was the
some sort of Times. It was the periodical at the time. This was March 13th, 1919. And I did read at some point, I think it's in here as well, that people say that some of his murders went back to like 1910. So so what we're doing is probably skipping 30 years ahead of when
he first started.
When his murders started.
Well, no, I'm going to say from when Delphine died. Till
maybe she didn't die.
Active. So
maybe she didn't die.
Maybe something. So this is the letter that he wrote, and I just read it for the first time this morning. So forgive me if I mispronounce words, and I'm terrible at reading out loud, unless it's C spot run. They have never caught me, and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible. Even as the ether that surrounds the earth, I am not a human being, but a spirit and a demon from the hottest hell. I am what you Orleanians and your foolish police call the Axeman. When I see fit, I shall come and claim other victims. I alone know whom they shall be. I shall leave no clue except my bloody axe, besmeared with the blood of he whom I have sent below to keep me company. Notice he writes my bloody axe. Just remember that.
I got chills.
If you wish, you may tell the police to be careful not to rile me. Of course, I am a reasonable spirit.
Because most demons are.
Well, if he wrote it today, it'd be like, you can tell him not to fuck with me, but
no cap. I take no offense at the way they have conducted their investigations in the past.
He ain't mad at it.
Yeah. In fact, they have been so utterly stupid as to not only assume me, but his satanic majesty, Francis Joseph, etc., but tell them to beware. Let them not try to discover what I am, for it were better that they were never born than to incur the wrath of the Axeman.
Damn.
I don't think there is any need of such warning, for I feel sure the police will always dodge me, as they have in the past. They are wise and know how to keep away from all harm. Undoubtedly, you Orleanians. I always think about that SNL clip. Think of me as the most horrible murderer, which I am, but I could be much worse if I wanted to. If I wish, I could pay a visit to your city every night. At will, I could slay thousands of your best citizens, and the worst. For I am in close relation with the angel of death. Now, to be exact, at 12:15 earthly time, on next Tuesday night, I am going to pass over New Orleans. In my infinite mercy, I am going to make a little proposition to you people. Here it is. I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear, by all the devils in the nether regions, that every person shall be spared in whose home a jazz band is in full swing at the time I have just mentioned. If everyone has jazz band going, well then, so much the better for you people. One thing is certain, that is that some of your people who do not jazz it out on that specific Tuesday night, if there be any, will get the axe. Yeah, jazz it out.
Oh my God.
This guy was a swinger.
Oh my God.
He was swinging.
Jazz it out.
Jazz it out.
That's fucking some 80s shit right there. We're going to jazz it out.
No, not quite 80s. It was 19s. It was 1919. It hadn't quite hit the
No,
80s.
you know what I'm saying. Yeah, some Jane Fonda shit right there.
Yeah, some Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
Get your leg warmers.
Well, as I am cold and crave the warmth of my native Tartarus, and it is about time I leave your earthly home. I will cease my discourse, hoping that you wilt thou publish this, and it may go well with thee. I have been, am, and will be the worst spirit that ever existed, either in fact or realm of fantasy. I'm gonna
Did I misunderstand? Did he say he has a Taurus?
No,
I don't know what that is.
Taurus. I don't know. So he's kind of, in my opinion,
he's just a bad, evil spirit.
If he's not an evil spirit, he's definitely, because the way he talks about New Orleans, it makes it feel like he doesn't live there. So I think West we go. Like, this guy just screams West Bank to me. I don't know if it's...
I almost spit my drink out. Oh my God.
I'm thinking,
he's definitely not a Yat. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking Gretna.
Gretna.
Yeah.
Old Gretna.
Yeah. Yeah. He's probably somewhere. But so some of the rumors behind this is why the Axeman is so tough to actually tackle as a story without getting some of the...
It's very old and we may not have facts.
Well, okay, so a lot of the victims were Italian. And this I heard a while ago, and there's a theory that he was a mafia hitman. And that's very reasonable, like realistic sense. For the times. And it's like, and then boom, he cuts down a couple of people, stirs some shit up, makes them play jazz music. He's on a train to fucking back to Chicago.
Yeah.
And you'll never hear from him again.
Right.
And he's just fucking with the cops, whatever. He's just doing his thing, making his...
So do you believe that? Or do you believe he is really an evil spirit?
Well, there's another... I don't believe anything yet.
Okay.
Like,
you're open-minded. You're just like, I'm a sponge. This is
why it's been tough for me to actually tackle it, because I can't give you any facts. I mean, I could give you the facts of the victims. I could give you what the rumors were.
And what the letter was.
And what the letter was, because that was actually published, and...
But everything is just talk.
There was also a big, another rumor, and I don't want to get, there was a rumor about it being a racist issue, because at the time, Italians and Jewish Americans and Italian Americans were kind of running kind of the deli scene.
Okay.
At that time in the French Quarter. Yeah. And there's a theory that he was trying to cut down competition, and he was a Jewish American.
I mean...
And so some of the motivation was racist.
The Muffalata's famous there.
Yeah. So there's a lot of like rumors. There's a lot of legends that go along with it.
Just go in different directions that come from people in hysteria because stuff is happening around them.
And it's over 100 years old. We're never going to know who did this.
Right. This is not something that's ever going to be solved.
Right.
This is going to be... So if you want to go into some victims, you can 100%.
Yes, please recognize them.
So what I notice from hearing the letter is that I think he thinks more of himself than what he actually was.
Yeah.
Just because all of the attacks were awful. Awful and horrific. And it's like, no, you don't want these things to happen. But like, he barely killed anyone. There weren't that many people who died.
I thought it was like tons of people.
He didn't even come in with his own weapon. He stole whatever was in their house.
Okay. So maybe it wasn't an axe?
No, it was not always an axe.
It wasn't always an axe. But if it was an axe, it was your axe.
But the Times-Picayune said he was the Axeman of New Orleans.
They call him the Axeman. Well, that's because of his first victims.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So getting into some of the victims, his first victims that they speculate are his first victims are Joseph Maggio and his wife Catherine on May 22nd, 1918. They were both Italian. Their throats were slashed. He bashed their head in with an axe that he found in the house. Joseph died after he was discovered by his brothers Jake and Andrew Maggio. The police found his body, his bloody clothes of the murderer in the house. So the Axeman
he left naked.
He just took his clothes off. I guess he put their clothes on, or he left naked. Who knows? I have no idea.
It's New Orleans. Let's just say he left naked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, blend right in.
Yeah.
So his brother was a barber, and his straight razor was the murder weapon.
Oh, okay.
So I guess that was in their house. He was the first suspect, but he was released. And you'll find that a lot in some of these stories is there were people who were suspects, but then they let them go.
They couldn't put a case together or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or they had an alibi or.
Mm-hmm. So then a few blocks from the scene, the police found a message in chalk on the sidewalk that says, Mrs. Maggio is going to sit up tonight just like Mrs. Tony, which is supposedly a reference to another Italian couple in 1911. So it's definitely against the Italians.
So we basically have the fucking Sopranos here.
Yes, pretty much.
Get your fucking gobbled fingers out of my gobbledygook. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
My gabagool.
Yeah, I always say it wrong.
I don't know if I say it right.
No, I think it's right. I think you got it right.
The gabagool.
So then the next couple was June 27th, 1918. They were attacked at night behind the grocery store. It was Lewis and Harriet.
What was Lewis and Harriet doing behind a grocery store?
I think they were grocers. A lot of them were Italian grocers.
Like I said, they
just working class kind of people like trying to get
meat
shit
market
done.
deli kind of situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he just hit them in the head. They had blunt force trauma. They did, to the back of the head, but they were fine. They survived.
Oh.
Harriet claimed that Lewis was, at some point, she claimed that her husband was a German spy and that he was the one who did the attack. So he was later arrested, but he was let go because he didn't do it because he also got hit in the back of the head.
Yes.
Pretty sure he wasn't a German spy either.
Exactly. So then the next victims were on August 5th, 1918. It was Mary Schneider. She was pregnant. She got hit in the back of the head again. The intruder picked up dollars from her wallet, so he was broke. He wanted some money too.
Dollar bill, y'all.
Dollar bills from the pregnant lady.
So I guess he wasn't a mafia hitman.
Maybe,
I feel like he'd be pretty well off if he was.
I mean, you're gonna do a mafia hit. You're gonna leave a statement. You're gonna cut off a pinky,
right? You're gonna have to lay the tulip down on the victim's body or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this one was an axe to the head.
Okay.
And she remembered the axe coming at her.
She lived?
She lived too.
Oh, nice. Did her baby live, I guess?
He botched a lot of murders. They should have been murders, and he really fucked up.
Again, I'm thinking this is against your mafia theory because these guys are professionals.
Yes.
In 1919, were they, though? I mean, you are thinking Casino.
No,
you're thinking Martin Scorsese.
I think they were probably better than they were.
They weren't bumbling back then.
I don't feel like
smash it with the
my iota.
They didn't do anything.
To the moon.
No.
No, I feel like it was a lot.
They're in and out.
Well, I feel like it was a lot easier for them to get away with shit back then.
Piano wire.
So yeah,
and just gone.
Yeah, but definitely leaving a statement.
This guy's kind of an idiot. Which leads me back to my first, either a demon or a West Banker.
It's got to be a West Banker because demons. I feel like demons aren't stupid.
They'd be better at it than this.
Yes,
not if they're into just the torture. Why send them? Why send them to God when I just want to fuck with you a little bit?
Maybe.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you.
Hey, after he put that that letter in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Not a fucking house was without jazz music.
What was the wording?
They jazzed it up. Jazzed it up. They jazzed it up until like 4 a.m.
And with live bands, mind you.
Live bands. New Orleans just said, fuck it, we are not going to be murdered. And so I could just imagine a demon just going, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Got the fucking, I don't.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm. All right. So continue with the victims because I'm curious. It sounds like more are living than not.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I misspoke. She thought that she saw an axe coming to her, but the police actually found that the weapon was a lamp that they found in her house.
Huh.
So it must have had blood on it or something. And there was a suspect taken into custody, but he was later released. The next victim was August 10th, 1918. It was Joseph Romano. He was attacked at night.
Sounds like he's just going back to back to back.
Yeah, it was all in this 2-year span.
Yeah.
Or really 1 year. It was like 1918.
It was almost just about a 12-month period.
Yeah, because it was the beginning of 1919, and then it all stopped.
It was like October till March or some.
Right, so not even a year. It wasn't very long. But he attacked Joseph Romano, and he was in the home with his 2 nieces. They found him bleeding from the head because they heard some things going on. So his two nieces ran and they actually saw him leaving. So, I mean, they described him as a man. And then, you know, there were a few victims who described him as a man, but you also don't know when they're like walking away in the shadows or
first New Orleans drag queen.
Maybe.
Well, I don't think it would be the first New Orleans drag queen.
You think
Probably
really?
just the first one that is killing people.
Oh, okay. I'm just throwing theories.
New Orleans has been kind of known for a loose town for a while. You already heard that a woman filed for divorce and had bought a house on her own.
Yes, you're right.
50 years before this happened. There are drag queens.
There's no rules here.
There are drag queens.
Yes.
All we have is theories, though. Well,
I'm just throwing mine out there.
The girl's description said that he was dark-skinned, heavy-set, who wore a dark suit and a slouched hat.
Definitely Italian.
Maybe.
I don't know. She kind of described me.
The only reason you're dark-skinned is because you're covered with black tattoos.
You're not heavy set.
You're not heavy set.
Not yet. Not yet. You keep feeding me, Mama.
Whatever. So this victim did die, but he died 2 days later.
Okay.
The next victim was September 13th, 1918. He tried to attack someone, but he couldn't because there were things in his way. But the targets were Paul Orrell Jr. and family, and they were grocers. So they must have seen him coming, or maybe they got attacked and they just said it was the Axeman.
This whole fucking thing is about hard salami. I'm just telling you that right now.
100%.
The whole fucking thing.
It's the deli wars of New Orleans in the 1910s.
Exactly. So that's all we know about them. They were fine. They didn't actually get attacked. They just saw someone coming to attack them. And then that was it. Then the next one was March 10th, 1919 in Gretna. Grocer.
Gretna.
We're on the West Bank. Grocer Charles Cortimiglia. That was a fun name to say. And
another Italian name.
Another Italian. And his wife Rosie and daughter Mary. Mary was killed, but the adult survived. I know. That was terrible. There were some people who were accused by the wife, but they later were released because she recanted her accusation. She decided that wasn't him after all.
She was like, this is the mob. I better fucking straighten up and act right.
Yeah, maybe. And then at this point, March 13th, 1919 was the letter.
Okay. So I'm sure you're going to cover this, but I'm going to ask it now. Did anything else happen after the letter?
The only thing that happened after the letter is when people stay in the haunted hotel of New Orleans, where it is said that
that's where he was holed up. He was holed
up in between murders, and what did they describe? Shadows, just all around kind of paranormal activity.
They did describe paranormal activity, and what was really interesting was this piece that they never could figure out how he got into houses. They knew that once he got into the house, he was using their things as the weapon, but there wasn't any sign of any forced entry.
There was no blink cameras. There was no ring cameras.
But he hadn't broken in either.
There wasn't anything broken.
I hear you, but how really secure were things in the 19?
Oh, you're right. You could probably just open the door.
You use your credit card and just slide it. No, I know they didn't have credit cards then, but
yeah. What police had found later was that they found that in every house there was like chiseled panels in the doors and in the walls. But it was so thin that they didn't realize that was something in common in all of the houses until later, because they were like, nobody can fit through that. Like,
I have
if he's a bigger guy,
because we heard he's a bigger
tall,
guy.
dark, and handsome,
heavy set. But I have a theory. I'm just
Tell us.
I think he went into their houses when they were not home, and he waited for them to come home, and that's why there was no forced entry. Bitches didn't lock their door when they left before.
Yeah, that could totally happen.
Very, very possible. But then
where did the chiseling panels in the doors come into play? Like, why would that be in all of the house? Like, that was very strange.
I don't know. I'm just throwing shit out there.
He's a demon.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still
Lucifer's little brother.
Yeah.
Just mischievous little fuck.
Yeah. He's still around somewhere.
Okay. All right.
So those are all of the victims.
Yeah.
And those are the things that happened. And once the letter came out and they played jazz, they never heard from him again. And that was it.
Yeah. After that letter came out, they listened to jazz all night long and not another murder.
They continued to play jazz at night for a long time.
They were,
yeah.
Well, they still do it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's still a thing.
We still jazz it up in New Orleans every single night.
Up. Oh my God.
So these were a couple of
I'm gonna call this episode Jazz It Up.
Jazz It Up, perfect. No, these are a couple of little New Orleans stories that are kind of legendary.
Guys,
and there's so many.
I love that. And when y'all come back next time, if you want to do more like that, I do.
I actually have another one on deck that I was mentioning to Michele as we were out the door. It wouldn't be New Orleans, it'll be New York, but I have another one.
I like spooky time.
Yeah, it'll be a little spooky time.
New Orleans is just so near and dear to my heart.
Oh, and there's so much.
Yes.
There's so much history.
Shit. Yes.
That we can cover.
So much.
It's like Matthew McConaughey said, about New Orleans.
He said, all right.
He did. But no, what he said about New Orleans, though, was proceed with caution. But proceed.
Yes, exactly.
I like that.
So I would like to end with that,
Well, I mean, there are some things that we could say about the haunted hotel, though.
Let's save it for next time.
We can do that.
Yeah. We're gonna leave the listeners wanting more.
Let's do that.
I never asked you, Augie, what are you drinking?
Oh, I'm drinking the IPA.
Not an IPA.
Yeah, this is Lagunitas IPA. If you're gonna drink any IPA.
Harold, have you had that one? Is it good? He's shaking his head.
Lagunitas is a California, but it's all over the world now. But it started in Petaluma.
And Michele, water?
I'm drinking water.
Yes.
But with electrolytes.
Oh, good. Mm-hmm. You will absorb your water more with that. Yes. Thank y'all so much. Seriously, I loved it. I loved it.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's been too long.
It has been too long, and y'all need to just poke me and say, hey, we're coming on this date and we're doing this.
It's tough because we fell through a couple of times because we had
just things come up.
Things come up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, guys. So want to say we have a new Patreon member this week, Amy D. And if you would like to be like Amy, who we appreciate so much, go to Patreon/grits. That's Patreon/grits. And you can help support the show. And we have all the social medias. This is on YouTube. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. We're on everything. So go get your social media on. Or what was the jazz saying? Get your jazz
it up.
Yeah, go get your social media it up. Yeah,
jazz it up. Subscribe and join Patreon.
I need y'all to go to YouTube and subscribe, please. That will help us out tremendously. And anything else? Did I miss anything, guys?
No.
All right. Tell your mama and them to listen. We're gonna let Zydeco Mike take us out. If I can get the music to play.